Well, 44 cars started race 1 and 11 non-finishers means that teams and drivers have got a lot of hard work to do. Hi Mark, can we just interrupt you for a second?
Yep.
You were one of 11 non-finishers yesterday.
Yeah.
What happened to the car?
I've had electrical problems basically since sort of Friday morning. Had problems with qualifying, didn't get out, managed to get out with the Heritage Touring cars, which meant I started from the back of the grid. Over the course of the weekend, we've now replaced distributor, rotor arm, leads, plugs, brown sensor, coil, and just done the gearbox earth. So fingers crossed, it was up and running again, and be finishing the race today.
You're obviously busy fixing damage from yesterday and you've got a lot of gaffer tape on the car. What happened to you?
I had a crash out at Hawthorne, fighting for probably 10th place, I think, and a car in front of the car in front of me spun and got collected by the car in front of me, and then that car went across the track and I hit it quite hard, and it's damaged the front, broken the fiberglass, damaged the suspension, and we're now trying to put it right. Nasty.
Do you think you're going to get out in time for the race?
Well, I'm doing a really bad job of fixing it at the moment, so there's a possibility I might not make it, but fingers crossed we'll get there somehow.
You're clearly rather busy down here. What's exactly happening?
We're changing the head gasket, mainly because Russ buzzed the car in the first race and bent all the valves on the exhaust cam. So the pistons have got little nicks in them, but everything's all right. So we've borrowed a cylinder head. We're changing the whole head and everything. So, but with the engine in the car, it's rather difficult. But yes, we're getting there.
Nigel, you're on your second gearbox, I take it?
Third.
Third? How come?
Another one on, because we had a leak yesterday of oil. So rather than chance it breaking, I've put another box in this morning.
Goodness me, that's expensive, surely?
No, it's not so bad. We've put cheaper standard gearboxes in just for this time. We've had enough of spending a lot of money.
So Sean, you made it from 43rd on the grid and finished 9th. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was. I wished just qualifying had been a bit more impressive. We had like as usual, the £2 part let us down, so we didn't qualify at all. So we put on the back of the grid, and yeah, it was hard work, man. Those Class A guys are just nutters. They're all over the place. Trying to get past them was difficult. So.
And it was a hard race for overtaking as well, with so many yellows.
Yeah, it was. The first safety car, to be honest, helped us out because it kind of closed everyone back up. I think by the first safety car I could count, I was up to 17th, and I'd kind of had another go at them then. And but yeah, the second safety car then kind of scuppered us because we kind of run out of time. But yeah, it was good fun.
So unfortunately, you didn't finish the race yesterday. What happened? Despite 11 non-finishers in race 1, 42 cars now head out to the track for race 2. Let's take a look at those grids.
The grid very similar to what we had for the first race. Chris Randall is the man on pole position, with Andrew Kell lining up second ahead of Gavin Kirby and David Skeggs. Steve Williams will be one to watch starting on the 3rd row. Paul Quinn with his tank tape special is on row 7 after his accident yesterday when he collided with the man with him on the grid, Martin Johnston. Lower back on the grid, Russ Treasure will be trying to make some progress, as also will Paul Harding, 3rd in Class A in the first race of the weekend. And of course, right at the very back, you've got Sean Bicknell, although Chris Pearson will be eager to make amends after his dramas in the first race of the weekend as well. But Sean Bicknell once more has got to do the hard work, having qualified only 43rd, and that was by dint of doing laps out of session. That's Paul Quinn's view then, ready for the start. Gavin Kirby is ready, so too is Andrew Walsh. The lights go out, away they go, and this time Gavin Kirby makes a better start than in race 1 as Sean Bicknell goes to the graft in his efforts to try to gain a place or two. Right up alongside Adam Hamilton-Fletcher going towards paddock, but there's no surprise about the race leader because Chris Randall has done it again. Andrew Kell is 2nd, and then 3rd it's David Skeggs. 4th is Gavin Kirby as the cars climb up towards Druids then. Side by side for 3rd, Skeggs on the inside, Kirby on the outside, and Gavin can't do it there, but he runs wide, goes all over the grass street and the curb, but he's got the inside line still for the next corner. Into Graham Hill Bend, through on the inside he goes, and that nets him 3rd place now. Skeggs drops back into 4th. David Skeggs goes to the outside then as they head towards Surtees. In 5th place behind them is Steve Williams, and Ben Pitch is 6th. Andrew Walsh going through as well as they turn their way now onto the Grand Prix part of the circuit. Not the best of starts by Andrew Walsh, but he's trying to make amends now as the cars accelerate down towards Hawthorns. There's a spinner in the background. Off has gone Tom Chataway, number 62, and that's delayed another couple of Class A drivers. I think they're all going to be able to keep going. Yes, they are. Thankfully, no contact. Paul Patterson in 47 was another driver being delayed. David Harvey, number 51, sprinting his way now up towards the right-hander at Westfield. As there you can see number 42, Mark Gooday, trying to gain a place from him on the inside, and Gooday does indeed move ahead then. The car's climbing up towards Sheen Curve for the first time, and Andrew Kell has slipped back behind Gavin Kirby, who's going great guns here. It's Randall leading, Kirby up to second, Kell third, fourth is Skeggs, fifth is Williams, sixth is Pitch, and seventh is Andrew Walsh. Rob Beebe's in number 96, another newcomer this year, accelerating his way down towards Clark Curve, through the right-hander, come the race leaders, and then up over the start and finish line. It's a very demanding lap, the Grand Prix circuit here, and that's why perhaps lower down the order the field has become a little more strung out. But up front, the enormous crowd witnessing a great drive by Chris Randall, who once again is using all of his experience to good use. He's trying to pull away from this man, Gavin Kirby, who's lost it. Oh no! Gavin Kirby, who was doing a really good job in second place, I'm afraid, has got it all wrong going through paddock. And you could see, despite all the arm twirling inside the cockpit, there was nothing he could do to save it. There's a forlorn hope to drive out of the gravel, and somewhere in that dust cloud is Gavin Kirby. He's going no further then as the rest of the field turn their way through Druids. Gary Broad, the carpenter, in number 23, accelerates out of the right-hander. The dust is still settling in the background. Gavin Kirby walks away. And a very frustrated man he is, because he was doing his best to shake off Cal and catch Chris Randall, and then he just overdoes it going through paddock, off into the gravel, and that's the game over. So Chris Randall's lead is another enormous one. In second place, Andrew Kell, David Skeggs now third. And lower down the order, we've got Chris Pearson and Sean Bicknell making progress. Also on the move there, 55, Chris Headlam. Now remember, we didn't really see the best of him in race one. He only got as far as Druids on the first lap and went into the gravel. And that, a replay of the demise of Gavin Kirby. Accelerates his way through paddock, loses the back of the car. The gravel does its job, stops him before he hits anything solid. And there is a rather dusty Gavin Kirby out of the race. And that balaclava is set for the laundry at the end of the weekend, because that'll be all gravelly as well. But disappointment for him. He was underlining his pace, though, because, of course, he's moved up from Class A to Class B this year and thinking about doing something about his class rival, Chris Randall, until disaster struck. Lower down the order, battles on in Class A. Stuart Kirkbride, number 41, moves through to gain a place. Number 9, Martin Roberts behind him. Remember that Martin was a spinner into the gravel in the first race of the weekend, so he's keeping out of trouble here. And ahead of them is Chris Pearson, who is also working his way up through the traffic now. Over the start and finish line comes this midfield battle. Paul Quinn, with all that yellow tack tape on the car, out on his own. But Gavin Kirby's car is not that far away from the edge of the road, and I think we are going to have to go safety car. Yes, there is the safety car deployed onto the track. The reason being that if anybody else runs wide at paddock, they could well strike that parked car. So to get that moved out of harm's way, the safety car is needed. Everybody, therefore, will bunch up. And as in race one of the weekend, Chris Randall's lead is about to evaporate. Andrew Kell, once again, will catch up to him. David Skeggs running third. Steve Williams in the yellow car is fourth. The dark green car is that of Ben Pitch in fifth place. And that is the reason for the interruption. Gavin Kirby's car undamaged, but in the gravel. And it needs all the cars to be bunched up together behind the safety car to enable the marshals to work safely. All of these laps under the safety car do count within the 20-minute duration. Gavin Kirby gets back into his rather gravelly Lotus 211. The race about to get underway then. The safety car peels in this time, and Chris Randall slows the pace of the race. That means that everybody else has to back off behind him, and as they do so, he can then floor the throttle and get away. You're on board with David Skeggs looking at the back of Andrew Kell's car. Yellow flag still being waved, the green flag is ready on the start line. The race is about to resume. You can't overtake until you get to the green flag, get to the timing line. Chris Randall goes through now. Andrew Kell going with him. The race is back underway then. In third place, you've got David Skeggs, and there, look, trying to go around the outside. 78 is Ben Pitch, but Andrew Walsh in the black car has a look on the inside, clips the curb, little dab on the brakes, and he goes through still sixth with Mark Gooday seventh in the orange 211, not that far behind him. The cars now turn their way up out of the right-hander at Druids, and then sprint down towards Graham Hill Bend once again, where already Chris Randall is starting to get away. You can see the battle on for second and third places now. It is Kell just ahead of Skeggs. These two nose to tail. Fourth is Steve Williams. He's another driver who goes well in Class B and has a look on the inside of Skeggs and very nearly got level. The door is closed, though, just in the nick of time by David Skeggs, but of course he now being stuck behind the Class C leader, Andrew Kell, whilst he's trying to attack, also has to be mindful of defending that place now. He's got Steve Williams right up with him, and Chris Headlam, number 55, is going very well indeed here. The yellow car diving up on the inside, look to go ahead of Mark Gooday, coming down towards Hawthorns, and the former kart racer moves through up on the inside line then. Chris Headlam goes through, gains a place. The man from Smallfield then goes ahead of Mark Gooday, and Gooday in turn has got 51 there, right on his tail, and that's David Harvey, who missed race 1, but he's going well in race 2. Up through Sheen Curve, on towards Stirling's, come the race leaders. And of course, that safety car having bunched everybody up means that we've got more and more battles raging on through the field. Chris Randall, though, doesn't really want to play with anybody else. He's quite happy to keep winning in this series. He's pulling away up front. Down they come towards Clark Curve. He's raced in Lotus races, he's raced in GT races, he's raced in historic Group C. Chris Randall has huge amounts of experience. His father Nick, also a good classic sports car racer, and Chris then now comes up over the line. Andrew Kell second and dropping away a little bit, but he's also managed to shake off David Skeggs, so he's not under any immediate pressure, but Andrew's got to be careful not to make a mistake here, because that will give David Skeggs the place if he does so. Skeggs, though, goes wide at paddock. Heading now towards Druids. Behind them it's Williams, behind him is Walsh, and then Ben Pitch also trying to be a factor within that leading group. Andrew Kell against limited opposition in Class C this weekend, leading his class. Lower down the order, you've got Chris Headlam, who is also working his way to the front, and you've got Sean Bicknell still trying to make progress as well. There, Martin Roberts, number 9, losing a place, is he? Yes, because through on the inside there goes Ian Berry. The man from Brands Hatch takes away a place, driving Paul Golding's car. And other battles continue all the way through the field. Another place has just been gained there by Guy Thatcher, despite using the curb and the grass green to his advantage. He's gone through. Sean Bicknell ahead of Paul Quinn now. Sean Bicknell's turbo car whistles past us, and he's still climbing his way up the order. James Knight goes through. That's Baumhart going well also within Class A, and keeping at bay at the moment, Paul Harding. Class A numerically the strongest, and it still delivers some great battles. Quinn ahead of Knight, ahead of Baumhart. Then you can see Paul Harding is right there in touch as well as they come now up towards the right-hander of Westfield, having a go to the inside there. You can see Baumhart, but also not only is he trying to get past Knight, he's also trying to defend. And it's being led by the dominant driver this season, Chris Randall, who has yet to be beaten. Andrew Kell lies second, and this second race of the weekend takes place in front of an enormous crowd here at Brands Hatch. This one of the support events to A1GP. That has delivered some great action, and so too have the Lotuses. Now Chris Randall is the man in charge at the moment, but Andrew Kell doing his level best to go with him. But in Class A there's a great scrap going on. Hans Baumhart then just being able at the moment to fend off number 99 James Knight as the cars turn their way through paddock and climb up towards Druids. Paul Harding is involved as well, but Paul Quinn's yellow car, despite being held together by lots of tank tape, is the one in the lead. Side by side there you see the road registered cars in Class A going through the hairpin. And James Knight hard at work to try to hang on to a place. Paul Quinn, though, escaping further up the road. The yellow car, he's an experienced driver, Paul Quinn, former ARP Formula 3 champion. He also engineers a lot of cars, not only for national racing, but also historic Grand Prix cars as well. He's looked after in the past. The Fittipaldi, for example, was raced last year by Steve Allen. Quinn accelerating his way down towards the right-hander there at Hawthorn. Gary Broad is also involved in that Class A battle now, but Quinn looking very strong indeed. Lower down the class then, the fight for the last place on the podium really is where the drama is now. It's James Knight just ahead there, you can see, of Gary Broad, and Paul Harding is running with them. The other classes, Class B being led by Chris Randall, the man who leads overall, as there, look, diving up on the inside. Harding takes a place away from Gary Broad. He goes through on the inside at Westfield and moves himself ahead. Class C being led by Andrew Kell, and Kell is second overall there, just going out of shot in the blue car, being pursued vigorously now by David Skeggs. The cars come up over the line with this other great little battle raging on lower down the order. That's Steve Williams' yellow car being monstered now by Andrew Walsh as they head towards the right-hander at paddock. Andrew, the man that made history by winning the very first ever Lotus on-track in his trophy race, has a look on the inside, then going into the braking area for Druids. Steve Williams gives him racing room. Walsh hooks a wheel or two up over the curb, but he's not going to be able to find a way through there. Downhill they come now. Out of Graham Hillband, Kell second, Skeggs third. Long gone ahead of all of them, though, is Chris Randall, who now is starting to work his way towards yet another victory. He's the benchmark driver in this class, although Andrew Walsh is no slouch. And he then turning his way through in Class B on the tail of his class rival, Steve Williams. Williams runs wide. Is that going to give him a chance now, coming down towards Hawthorns? Just a slight error made by Steve Williams there. But the man from Maidenhead, Steve Williams, hangs on to the place. This, though, is Walsh's view. Down to the braking area at Hawthorns. He's not really able to think about making a move there. They turn their way to the corner and go now up towards the right at Westfield. Somebody getting it a little bit wrong there, going into Druids. Number 11 that was, Russ Treasure. The good news is that the Class A car is proving to be a bit more reliable than the car he had last year, and therefore Russ Treasure is still in the race, albeit further down the order. Now he's off the road as well, runs really wide coming out of Graham Hill Bend, rattles over the curbs. He's still going, even if this car doesn't have the pace as the rather unreliable Class C, much more modified car from last season. Number 13, Matthew Bartlett, involved with his red and white Elise here, coming down towards Hawthorns. He's on the tail of number 44, Stuart Moult. He's on the inside of him and trying to squeeze through, but no, Stuart Moult is just able to keep the place then as they come through the corner. They've got Tess Howell going with them as well as they now accelerate up towards the right at Westfield. It's a 20-minute race, and we've already had one safety car period because of Gavin Kirby being in the gravel. Those laps counted towards the overall duration, and that means, therefore, there are relatively few racing laps left now. In the first race of the weekend, we had to go through 2 safety car periods. They're being a bit better behaved here at the moment. Mark Gooday, number 42, goes through, having lost a place now to David Harvey ahead of him. David Harvey with his 340R, a similar car to that, being driven by Andrew Walsh as they sprint their way now up towards the line. Past the pits goes number 2, Ian Berry at the helm this weekend of Paul Golding's car. Paul Golding, the man who's the real driving force behind the Lotus On Track Elise Trophy. And it's being watched on the giant screens around Brands Hatch by a big, big crowd. They're being rewarded with some good racing all the way through the field. But Sean Bicknell, I'm afraid, has had poor reward for his weekend's efforts. He had an engine problem in qualifying, and that's why he's had to start both races at the back of the grid. But it looks as though the Gremlins have struck once again, look, because the car is slowing down. He's bound for the pits, isn't he now? So poor old Sean Bicknell looks as though his race is not going to last a whole lot longer. He gets out of the way then, coming out of Surtees as Russ Treasure dives up the inside there, going into Graham Hill Bend. A place gain, he goes through on the inside of Tom Chataway's car. Russ Treasure driving well, and there's somebody else with a problem ahead of him, look. A driver with his hand out of the window, slowly making his way towards retirement, and that is Andy Dolan. Despite the fact that the car says for sale on the front of it, Chris Randall's mount is serving him well here. He leads rather dominantly, it must be said, at the moment. Nobody else has had a look in all weekend, and Chris Randall is up at the hairpin at Druids, looking very strong indeed. Double winner at Brands at the start of the year, double winner at Donington. He's had 1 win here this weekend. It looks as though he's going to do another double. He's the benchmark driver in the series, and he turns his way now up towards the left-hander at Surtees. Chris Randall then looking strong. Andrew Kell second, David Skeggs is third, and then in 4th place Steve Williams. Now he's not really in touch anymore, nor is he being monstered particularly by the black 340R of Andrew Walsh as they go onto the Grand Prix part of the circuit. On board with David Skeggs now, blasting his way down towards Hawthorns. Bit smoky there, the back of Andrew Kell's car, but Kell still safe in that 2nd position. In 3rd it's Skeggs as they go now into Hawthorns. Great little battle here though, look, as the car of Gary Broad is just able to keep James Knight at bay. Nose to tail those two as they go through the hairpin at Druids and then drop down towards the left at Graham Hill Bend. They've got Stuart Kirkbride running with them as well. Now a long Cooper straight heading towards the left at Surtees. Also in Class A here you can see number 45 Peter Driver. He fends off 37. That's the car of Mike Davis, and right on the tail end of those cars battling is 44 of Stuart Moult. Behind them Matthew Bartlett goes a little bit wide, but David Skeggs is still pushing hard, and I just wonder whether Andrew Kell may have a problem. His lap times have gone up a little bit, and there's a puff of smoke there as he turns his way through Stirling's, accelerates away, and there's a huge cloud of smoke. That engine has let go in a very spectacular fashion. Andrew Kell's race is run. Andrew Walsh dives to the left of it, picks his way through the smoke screen, and Andrew Kell is going no further. Poor reward that after 2 very good drives this weekend. That takes the pressure off Chris Randall. It also now gives 2nd place to David Skeggs. Well, Chris Randall's on target for a race win, but Andrew Kell, I'm afraid, faces an engine rebuild before the next round of the series, and that is going to be at Spa at the end of the month. So Chris Randall then heading for the checkered flag. He's up towards Surtees. He's got to work his way through the traffic past 1 or 2 of the slower back markers that keep out of his way. Chris Randall dominated race 1. He leads race 2 as well as he sprints now down towards Hawthorns. He's on target to win in Class B as well. The top 3 overall now, the new order: Randall, Skeggs and Williams, all Class B drivers. So where's the leading Class C car with the demise of Andrew Kell? That's Chris Headlam. Retirement in race 1 because he was in the gravel bed. Looks like he's going to get a class win out of the weekend as Graham Walsh, number 8, turns through. Class A at the moment being headed by Paul Quinn, making up for yesterday's disappointment when he had a rather battered car. So on board with Andrew Walsh through Westfield. The road drops away to the right then through Sheen Curve up towards Stirlings. Andrew Walsh hard at work, but Chris Randall then is looking good for his third double of the season. The smoke is still settling after Andrew Kell's big engine blow up. And this is how David Skeggs saw it. Suddenly, up through the gears goes Kell, the engine lets go, and all of that white smoke obscures his view just briefly, but David Skeggs able to dive to the left, gain the place. So Chris Randall then is set for a win, because at the end of the second 20-minute Lotus on Track Elise Trophy race of the weekend, he comes up towards the checkered flag, and Chris Randall has made Brands Hatch his own this weekend. Through he comes then to win the race. Chris Randall is victorious. It's a long wait really before now for second place across the line comes David Skeggs. 7 seconds adrift he is at the end, and third will go the way of Steve Williams, but only just, because only 2 tenths away from him Andrew Walsh, the two crossing the line almost side by side. Well, let's confirm the way the top 10 came through. Randall, Skeggs, Williams, Walsh. You know Ben Pitch was 5th. Chris Headlam takes 6th to win his class ahead of David Harvey, and then it's Mark Goodate, Rob Beavis and Andrew Waters going well to round out the top 10. The classes, Paul Quinn ahead of Paul Harding and Hans Baumhart in Class A. Class B, that man Randall again from Skeggs and Williams. And Class C, Chris Headlam takes a win ahead of Chris Pearson. So the drivers making their way to the podium. The class winners with Chris Randall, a very happy man. Yet another double victory here at Brands Hatch this weekend, and he's done it at the Blue Ribbon race for the Lotus On Track Elise Trophy in front of a big crowd supporting A1GP.
So Paul, another fantastic result for you, and you managed to get out again.
Yeah, I managed not to crash either, which was really good news. So got the car repaired, and it was going pretty well, really.
Well done. And Chris, top result for yourself as well?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's great. First time on the podium.
And are you new to the Lotus Series?
I am indeed. It's my first year.
And you're enjoying it?
Absolutely. It's a wonderful crowd of people. Absolutely.
And Randy, another blinding race.
Yeah, thanks. I like my little blue car. It's good.
The opposition may not like it as much because they can't beat that one either. The presentations then for the classes. We start with Class A, where there's the usual frivolity. Hans Baumhart taking 3rd, Paul Harding taking 2nd. And the class winner is Paul Quinn. Another very impressive display, despite the car having all of that tank tape stuck on it after its accident in race 1. The top 3 in Class B in reverse order, or 3rd in class will go the way of Steve Williams. He steps forward in a moment to receive his trophy. 2nd in the class goes the way of a very happy David Skeggs. This also, of course, the top 3 overall, and therefore there's no argument about the race winner. Chris Randall does it again. He's got enough trophies, I think, already, hasn't he? Brings one with him to then receive it again. And Chris Randall at the top step of the podium once more. Class winner, overall race winner, another dominant weekend. And the Class C cars a bit frail this weekend, but Chris Pearson at least finishes race 2. He finishes 2nd in class. And the class win goes to a man new to the Lotus On Track Elise Trophy this year, ex-kart racer Chris Headlam, making up for his trip into the gravel in race 1.
Well, a fantastic weekend racing here at Brands Hatch, supporting, of course, the A1GP. Join us next time from Morton Park.